Hey everybody, what's up? Alex Mitchakes coming to you guys live from Mystic Ground Studios. And it's that time again, another time for our free lesson of the month, where I, recording session guitarist, give you, my student, a YouTuber, a Facebooker, someone who likes guitar, a free guitar lesson. That's right. So today, as you could tell from our earlier clip, we are going to be checking out Scar Tissue by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. This is one of my favorite Chili Peppers song. John Frusciante is one of my favorite guitar players. So let's just dive right into it. What we're gonna learn by the end of this is just the main groove. But I'm gonna get into a little bit of also how you can use this groove as a guitarist to help you identify what is a major third, what is a minor third, what does that mean in chords, and how you can start kind of moving that around in key with the Scar Tissue chords and start sounding a little more like John. So let's just dive right into it. So that's how the meat and potatoes of Scar Tissue goes. Let's dive into it. Really what we're going to be doing is this entire figure is based around playing a 1, 5, minor 6, 5 chord progression. If that doesn't mean anything to you, maybe you should contact me about getting some lessons so I can hook you up with my really easy music theory program on how you can... This should really take you to the moon, really. But theory, if you know a little bit of theory, it can take you a long way. But John's in the key of F, so that would mean my 1 chord's an F chord, my 5 chord's C, and my minor 6 is going to be a D minor, and then I'm going to go right back into the C chord. So basically, when John is doing this, he's implying chords without playing the full chord. Full chordally would be an F major, going into a C, back into a D minor. So what we're going to do is identify these intervals in the fingerboard, and I'm going to show you how can this really take you far by just knowing this in the key of F. So what you want to do is slide on up to the 8th fret here of your A string. That's your root in the first chord. There's your F note. That's the bass note. That's the note that makes everything on this first chord work. Okay? So your next note, and I do this with my ring finger. I have messed up my hand, and this finger can't, my ring finger cannot stretch out the way that I'd like to anymore. So what we're going to do is I'm going to use this with my pinky. If this feels more comfortable to use with ring finger for the splits, please do that. I'm just using my pinky because my hand hurts. So again, I got my 8th fret, there's my F note, there's my root on the A string, and then I'm going to have my pinky come over here and play the 10th fret on my B string. There's your major third, that's an A. So this shape off the A string, these two pitches, those two pitches are what make up, that's basically what he's doing when he's going over the F. So I'm going to alternate pick them. I do this with my fingers. You can see I'm holding my pick here in my index finger. So I'm picking with my middle and my thumb. This is just a little handy trick I do when I play, so that way I can quickly go back to a part that's picked, quickly go back to fingers. If you can't do that, try with your fingers. I think John played this with a pick, actually, but this has always been easier with my right hand with my fingers, so I'm going to play it that way. And I'm going to alternate with my right hand. I'm going to go A string on the 8th fret, up to the B string, on the 10th fret. So there's your major third. So I'm going to alternate. So you kind of have a swing rhythm. I go ba, ba. You're going to be alternating like this when you're picking. So root, major third, root, major third, root, major third. If you're thinking in tab, it's just going to be 8-10, 8-10, 8-10, going against the A string, going on the B string. So now John walks it down. There's my first chord shape, 8 and 10 on the guitar, and I'm going to take that pinky note and I'm going to come over with my ring finger, or excuse me, my middle finger, and I'm going to go right over to the 8th fret on my B string. And what that does is now I've changed one interval out of that F chord. He still plays this entire part over the F chord. But what you're doing is I've dropped that A, the major third, down to a second, going down to the G. So if we think of our scale, F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F, there's all the notes in my key of F major. So what I'm doing is I'm walking down to the second. I'm going A, going down to my major second, or going down to my second, to change how the F chord sounds. What this does is it sets up my direct next chord shape. I'm going to have, so here's this shape again. I went 8 and 10 for the first part on F, and then 8 and 8. And that's 8. My root is always going to be on the A string here. The only note I'm switching between is on the B string. So my next chord shape, this is going to be John's inversion on a C chord with intervals. I'm going to have these two. These two. So, what is that? Well, that's the 8th fret on my low E string. There's my root, that's my C again. And then we're going to find another major third because the chord's going to be a C chord. So that's going to be my 9th fret on my G string. There's the major third, it's an E. So I'm playing the C, the root, and I'm playing E, the other major third here. The major third is the note that constitutes major or minor tonality in a chord, and it's what helps, it's how John can suggest he's playing chords when really he's just playing two notes together at the same time. So these two pitches, there's your C chord, there's my root, and here's my major third, the 9th fret on my G. So there's that shape. Then I'm going to come in and play 10th fret on my low E string. There's my root again. There's my D. We're going to go into a D minor, and then I'm going to search for the minor third. So what we're looking for is an F. We're looking for the minor third in the key of D. There it is. It's the 10th fret on my G string. So I'm going to play both of these together. There's my chord, and I'm going to go back to my original C. So that entire part together, I have so really what that is I have 8 and 10, there's my first shape, I'm going to alternate between that, 8 and 8 with middle and index finger on the root, going to come over to my C shape with my index finger on the 8th fret of my low E string, and my 9th fret on my G string. And I'm going to come up to D minor here on 10 and 10. That's the 10th fret on the low E string and the 10th fret on the B string. So there's the whole, that's kind of his first call of it, okay? So for right now, if you're just a beginning student and you've never even thought about music theory, just kind of disregard the major and minor thing. Just learn the frets first. Get the tablature that I'm reading out to you, and you'll still be able to play scar tissue, but it would really behoove you to know when you're scooting around, you're implying chords with these intervals, because then, as I'm going to show you in a second, you can really start making things up, which is really cool. So here's the second part. You play exactly the same thing, but at the end of D minor, you have a little guitar lick. So I have... There's that lick again. At the end of that, though, I'm going to go. So it ends on that same D minor chord I already showed you. But what you're finishing on is you're on the 10th fret. It's that same note from the chord. So I'm gonna switch to my index finger and just hammer on. I'm gonna play that 10th fret note, and then I'm gonna hammer onto the 12th fret on the same string. And then resolve back. So that would sound like this. Pretty sweet. Now, how can you, the budding guitarist, figure out how do I make up a song that has that vibe of John Frusciante without straight up ripping off scar tissue? Well, if you know your major scale, your 1, 2, major 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, major 7th, 1, if you know that in any key, you can start figuring out where are these intervals that make up the chords. So remember, a major chord always has a root, a major 3rd, and a 5th. So if you just sit there in F and I go F, there's my 1 on my thumb, 2, G, I'm just going to go up my musical alphabet. Remember, the 3rd has to be an A because in music we only go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then it just starts all the way over. So F is my root, G is my 2nd, A is my 3rd, B flat is my 4th, and C is my 5th. So I know if I'm going to make an F chord, my triad is going to be F, there's my root, major 3rd A, 5th C. Well, okay, if I want to suggest that chord, I can find those intervals on the guitar in different places. You can see me kind of playing around and adding notes around in the key. That's because I know what those notes in those scale are, and once I identify where my root and my major 3rd is, I can pretty much figure out where my 4th is. Well, hey, that, depending on my major 3rd, is only going to be a whole step up. Boom, there it is. So you can kind of figure out your other notes that way, but this is just something to play with. Again, so here's the whole thing we learned today, guys. The main little lick of scar tissue. Come to you guys from Mystic Ground Studios. Let's check it out one more time. We'll play it real slow, and then I'll play it fast. Have at it. Have fun. This is on your way to playing like John Frusciante. So there it is, guys. So, remember, if you like what you saw here in this video lesson, be sure to give us a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm Alex Mitchakes from Mitchakes Music, coming to you guys live from Mystic Ground Studios in Dallas, Texas. Be sure to follow Mitchakes Music on Facebook. Be sure to follow it at Mitchakes Music Dallas. At Mitchakes Music Dallas, that's my Instagram. If you want to follow my personal Instagram, it's at Mitchako Taco. And be sure to check out Mitchakesmusic.com/blog for all of those great Tone Talk blogs, tips from a professional recording session musician for you on how you can sound better on stage, at home, or in the studio. So that's it, guys. I'm out. See you next time. Peace.